talk to them about just what it takes to be a leader and integrity, character, and the entire team. I talk to them about character and higher ground habits. One of the things that we're seeing all across the nation when it comes to athletes, you know, they're slowly sabotaging their careers. And when you look at my history, that's one of the things that I did. I had the world in the palm of my hands, and I sabotaged it. And I have a hatred for that now when I see that, because I had to learn the hard way, and I just came to let these young men know that they don't have to go through that. You know, and as you work your bodies out, as you build to be a better football player, also work your character out to be a better human being off the field, because integrity is doing the right things when nobody's looking, and building great character.
And so you didn't meet with the whole team. You met with the senior leadership, those guys.
I met with the leadership for 15 minutes, and then I met with the entire team, the whole team. So pretty much, I got a little more in depth with the whole team, about a little personal testimony, things, my victories, my failures, and all the things that I learned from it, and what I'm doing today.
Well, did Coach Rick invite you, or is something you wanted to offer up your own services to come up and speak?
Well, he invited me, and I've done this before. I came back in 2011 and spoke to all the student athletes, every sport, over at the some musical hall here on campus, and A.D. McGarity had me come back and gave me an hour to talk to the athletes, and had an opportunity to do a slide presentation and talk to them about choices and consequences.
What do you had a chance to meet all these tailbacks? You had kind of a similar situation. It was like tailbacks were coming out the woodwork when.
Yeah, I met Todd and Keith last year. I think it was before the season last year. Matter of fact, during the season when Scott Adams had passed away, which was a teammate of mine, I came over and I got a chance to meet Todd and Keith. You know, that was very interesting because they're my homeboys from North Carolina. And
yeah.
I like the fact that Georgia is really recruiting the state of North Carolina now. But just outstanding young men. Very, very respectful and professional. But it's great to see that Georgia still has that stable of running backs. You know, since Herschel and myself and Lars Tate, Hampton Henderson, and all those guys, and you know, we keep a stable of running backs, and that's what I love about this university.
Was there a sense of urgency with your message, given how this offseason went for this team?
I think it is. I think it not just for the University of Georgia, but, you know, I love this school. I love this university. It gave me so much, and it gave me an amazing opportunity to showcase my talents and move on to a professional life. But it's the urgency all over the nation, especially when it comes to athletes today. I'm just seeing young men sabotage their careers, you know, not just on the collegiate level, but on professional levels too. On the professional level too, I just read about, you know, my favorite NFL team, not just because I played for them, they were always my favorite team, Pittsburgh Steelers. They got two of the starting running backs in trouble now, you know, and I look at that, I'm like, wow. And it makes me look back when I was sabotaging my career, failing drug tests, getting DUIs, just staying in trouble. And it is an urgency, and basically what it is lack of character. You know, you prepare these young men for battle, but who prepares them for life? When I look back, I was prepared to play the game, but I was not prepared for the game off the field, and it almost destroyed me. And that's why I'm here. By the grace of God, and I have a message, and I want to help these young men to overcome and develop character and stand in integrity and take responsibility and take advantage of the opportunity that they have. It's a powerful platform.
When he invited you this time, did you get an indication that it was a little bit in reaction to the stuff that had happened in the offseason here?
Well, one of the things that we Ron Corson I always stay in communication with him. And one of the things that Georgia has been able to do, they rotate speakers that will come in. And I was in 2011, and I think, what's the guy, the Herron,
Chris Herron. Yeah.
He came in and they rotated where the freshmen now that I spoke to, they're seniors. And so to come back, and that's like a whole fresh group. And this time it's just a team. And I think it was, that's how they wanted to work that out. We had talked about that a couple of years ago. And but it's always exciting to come back and get a chance and to be around the guys, look them in the eyes and talk to them. And I got to tell you, when I was speaking to them, I'm very bold when I speak. I don't water down anything. They received it. And their response when they come up, shake hands, give you a hug or whatever, they received it because not only do I talk hard, but I do give grace. Truth and grace, they have to go together. So.
Kids these days aren't really necessarily getting in more trouble than back when your day. It's just like more social media now. You have to deal with that when you played, obviously. So is that kind of
Yes, sir.
maybe tint things a little bit?
You know what? I spoke to them about. I wrote a blog post. I'm really into that now, writing blog posts. You get a lot of. I didn't know it was going to take off like that, but I wrote a blog post at the end of the 2013 college football season, and the blog was, could I handle my athletic career being played out today in 2013 or 2014? And I asked myself that question. I couldn't handle it. Thinking like I used to think, not like I think now. I couldn't handle it. Why? Because of the social media. Nothing's sacred anymore, and everybody have access to you. You know, and I was telling the young man, I said, listen, you guys have targets on your back. Not everybody care about what you're doing. Everybody ain't for you. There's some people that are very envious of you, and guess what they're doing? They'll take this little machine right here when you least expect it, and they're filming you. They're filming you every move you make, and they're recording you. And so you see people like the Johnny Manziels and the guys just getting in trouble. You know, I'll call it keeping your head on the swivel. That's the old athletic thing, head on the swivel when you're running down on special teams, because that's when you're most vulnerable to get your head knocked off. And I've seen that happen. But they have targets on their backs. And you have to be aware of your surroundings. And with the social media today, the things that we were doing back then, there's no way we couldn't handle it. We'd be in trouble every week. So I give them the benefit of the doubt, but I don't condone it. But they can't, and that's why I talked about higher ground habits. Learn to form higher ground habits. You know what I mean? Just character. So, and the fact that we have people that can come in and speak on these topics. You know, we had a few people come in when I was an athlete here, even when I was in the pros or in high school, but not to have that available now. You got to take advantage of that.
You mentioned failed drug tests, getting DUIs. When was that, and did you go to rehab, and you know, is this a lifelong thing that you have to deal with?
Oh, no. I failed my first drug test in the NFL in 1991. And that came right after a DUI in 1991. I was on injured reserve and not traveling with the team, and got a DUI one night in Pittsburgh. Excuse me. And that in the NFL back then, when you get a DUI, it automatically puts you in the system where you're being monitored. You got to take a urine screen every once a week, and that put me in the system. And they have you talking to it like a counselor. And so that same week, I didn't know I was going to be taking a urine test. And when I took the urine test, it was positive for cocaine. And I had been partying that week, so that put me in the system. That's when everything went public. And so now there's a 4-game suspension, and that's an automatic 30 days in rehabilitation and recovery. So I had to experience that, and I learned a whole lot from that. And it's nothing that I do anymore. I just, when you recovery talk, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got tired of me, and I just cried out to the Lord, and I turned my life around. I have been clean and sober since April 13, 2008, when that police officer tased me in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know if you guys remember that. But that was a defining moment in my life, and I haven't looked back since. And the things that I've been able to do by the grace of God is, you know, with my wife, develop life skills, curriculums, not only for the NFL, but for the NCAA also. And I've been able to tap into some things that God put in me that I didn't know I had in me. And like I was telling the gentleman, my biggest fear, besides going to jail, was to stand up and talk in front of people. It's my passion. I get an opportunity to talk in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. And at the same time, I get a chance to preach the gospel in Huntsville, where I live, at a homeless shelter. I'm a chaplain at a homeless shelter there. Who would think Tim Worley would be a chaplain? You know?
Team comedian.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you, what's your feeling on Georgia's gotten a lot of publicity lately for their drug policy, for dealing rather sternly with things, kind of a 3-strike policy. What's your feeling on that?
I think it's valid, and I back the leadership that put that in place, because you need that. It's like what I talked about, grace and truth. You can't have one without the other. There comes a time where you keep getting chance after chance. We have to punish you, you know. And maybe that will help some of these guys wake up, because, you know, you also got to look at our generation today. We live in such a lax mediocrity, apathy, entitlement, you know, generation today, and you know, you have to put it in place. And I'm just a basic fundamental guy. I believe not just basic fundamentals on the football field, but basic fundamentals in life. And believe it or not, I just overall believe that this country has gotten away from that. And I look at these young folk, it's got to be hard for them. I'm not petting them, and I've never pet the flesh. But I look and I'm like, wow, how was I thinking when I was 19, 20, 21 years old and had the platform that I had here? What was I thinking? And see, it's better that we get them now, start planting seed in them now, even high school, that character seed. You know, I talk to the young men about forming relationships with people other than their teammates. That's one of the things that hurt me, because I was just around my teammates. So when it was time for me to get out to the real world and work and get a job, I didn't know what to do, because I never took time to form relationships with people. And then when you run out of money, the folk that wanted to be your friend, that you didn't give them the time of day, you're calling them, asking them for a job. Okay? So that's those higher ground habits that I'm talking about. You learn to respond instead of react.